What's up, y'all? You're watching Union Minded. I am your host, Eric, and today we are going to talk about a very cool tool that the Department of Labor put together to help working people organize unions in their workplace. They consolidated a ton of information to help folks who want unions be able to organize unions. Now, before we get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, remember to hit the like button, hit the notification bell, hit subscribe, and drop some comments and share. It all helps with the algorithm. It all helps to spread the word and get the word out there. Now, without further ado, let's talk about this Department of Labor website. So, the U.S. Department of Labor has a tool called the Worker Organizing Resource and Knowledge Center. Organizing Resource and Knowledge Center. They have once you go into the website, there's there's basically a breakdown of what you're going to find here. And it says, interested in unions and collective bargaining? We're here to help. 60 million non-union workers in the U.S. say they would join a union if given the chance, but many don't know where to begin. The Worker Organizing Resource and Knowledge Center, or WORK, is a one-stop shop for information and resources on unions and collective bargaining for workers, employers, unions, government agencies, students, and anyone interested in unions and collective bargaining. All in one spot. Scroll down to learn how unions improve the lives of all workers and how they support the Department of Labor's mission. Now, I always tell you that the federal government's position is that it supports unions and it supports collective bargaining. Now, they do that not because they're some altruistic entity that just really loves working people. That's not why they do it. They do it because it's in the government's best interest to support labor unions. Sounds weird, right? Why would it be in the government's best interest? Well, back in the day, we're talking about back in the day, when unions were at their strongest, worker stoppages are the only real power that unions realized back then. And so what they would do is they would go on strike and they would cause worker stoppages. And there was so much solidarity that it would spread to other industries, and then they would have secondary strikes and secondary boycotts, which then would spread and become general strikes. And it would really disrupt the consumer goods chain and really screw up the economy. And that was the main crux of the bargaining power. It's really the main crux of any bargaining power that any working people have, is to withhold their labor. It's a radical idea, but the thing of value that you bring to a company is your labor, your willingness to work and do a job. If you are to refuse your labor and you only do it by yourself, well, that's easily replaceable. They can get another person in a day, fill the spot, life goes on. But in a union, when you have solidarity and you all withhold your labor, it becomes much more difficult for the owner class to be able to just easily replace you and just get along like nothing ever happened. It's incredibly difficult to do that when everybody stands in solidarity, but it takes solidarity. We had it in droves, 70 years ago. We're lacking right now, but it's on the rise and it's coming up. So understand that the U.S. government's position of supporting collective bargaining is a self-interest. It's incredibly difficult to govern when everybody's pissed off because their goods aren't being transferred, the economy has stopped, and everybody starts to hurt over a greed dispute where an owner just doesn't want to pay his workers. The government understands it's a better idea to support the workers and have them have at least an ally in government that can talk to the owner and arbitrarily force that owner to be fair with the workers. So they've collected a bunch of stuff, right? So it says, welcome to the Work Center, and then there's a link, and it says, Secretary of Labor Marty Walsh explains why the department is prioritizing empowering workers to organize. Let's understand. Let's see what the Secretary of Labor says. Okay, he's telling you right now why are they supporting worker organizing. Secretary of Labor Marty Walsh welcomes you to the Worker Organizing Resource and Knowledge Center, the federal government's first online resource center with information about labor unions and their importance to workers and communities. Consistently, research shows that workers want unions. In fact, a huge gap exists between the percentage of workers who want a union and those who currently have one. Today, many workers, particularly young workers, know little about their labor rights and don't know how to organize. In response, to meet popular demand, we created the Work Center to provide information about unions, organizing, and collective bargaining, all of which are important tools for workers that help support the Department of Labor's mission to protect workers. There it is. They have a mission to protect workers. Workers want unions. The Work Center is supporting popular demand. Worker and public support for unions is higher now than it's been in decades, especially among young workers. Recent research suggests 52% of workers want a union, but that just 12% of workers are currently represented by one. Among Black and Hispanic workers, women workers, and young workers, interest in union representation is particularly high. That means that those who really want unions are minorities and women and the young workers. That's curious, right? But those are the people that are coming out in droves trying to form a union. It would be wise, it would behoove us to really focus on organizing these folks, the ones that really want to be a part of it. And then you have a bunch of other links. You know, it takes you to other statistics. It says young women's and workers, young workers, women workers, and workers of color want unions. You click that, there's a link for that, and a bunch of other stuff. And you go back to the original page, and you'll see the next tab is Unions 101. What is a union? How can you form one? You click on that, you learn what a union is. And that, I don't know if you can see that. No, you can't see that, so forget about that. The Union Advantage, that's another link. Hear from workers, so you got testimonials. You can click on that link. Unions in our communities and democracy. Find out how unions help keep our economy and democracy strong. That's a lot of political activism and community organizing and outreach and volunteering in the community. Labor management partnerships. But if we can have it fair, I'm all good. I'm all right with working with people as long as we can have a fair deal. Additional resources, new and noteworthy. I mean, it's really an impressive tool that was put together for folks that want to organize. They can go to this website, the U.S. Department of Labor website, and look for the Work Center, and they'll have a bunch of tools on how to organize, how to build that union at your workplace. It's amazing. It's amazing times that we live in. Like I said, we're in the middle of a generational shift, a tide shift, if you will. Public opinion is on our side. Union activism and union activity is on it's growing. So this is no time to sit on our hands and act like, oh, we're good where we're at. This is the time to pounce. This is the time to demand more. This is the time to stand on your 2 feet with your siblings and demand better pay, demand better conditions at work, demand better safety at work, demand a better retirement. This is the time to demand so much because we've been taken advantage of for so long. And even if you're in a union and you make a good living, you're still not making enough. The rich have stolen 50 trillion since 1970. 50 trillion. We are grossly underpaid. And it's time we realize that. I'm glad the US government is on our side. Patriot much? Yeah. Labor patriot. Let's go. Labor patriot. Let's go. Not that crazy shit. You know what I'm talking about. Anywho, remember, the fight is not left and right. It's up and down. It's going to take solidarity to win always. Each one teach one. Get out there and reach one. Peace.